So there's a lot more to talk about. So we told you there was a search of the home that he appeared to have been staying in the Hollywood Hills. We have been telling you about a body parts found in the trunk of a Tesla owned by the singer Davis. So we now find out that they were testing for blood. We now know who the victim is in this case, and there are a lot of twists and turns.
September 17th, 2025. A quiet street in the Hollywood Hills turns into the scene of one of the most shocking raids Los Angeles has seen in years. FBI agents and LAPD detectives swarm a $4.1 million mansion tied to rising star David Burke, better known as D4vd. For 12 straight hours, forensic teams search every inch of the property, spraying luminol across walls, drains, and floors, looking for hidden traces of blood. Neighbors watch in disbelief as evidence bags, computers, and clothing are hauled out of the home. But then comes the discovery that changes everything. When agents emerge, their faces are pale. They've uncovered a hidden tunnel beneath the mansion. A secret passage no one outside that house was supposed to know about. What was inside that tunnel left them speechless and may hold the answers to one of the most disturbing mysteries in Hollywood today. Tonight, we're breaking down exactly what went down inside D4vd's mansion, the evidence seized, the shocking tunnel discovery, and how it could completely reshape the investigation. This isn't just a story about a raid, it's the story of a secret that may expose Hollywood's darkest truths. The raid wasn't just another police checkup. On the night of September 17th, 2025, the LAPD's Elite Robbery Homicide Division, backed by FBI agents, arrived at the Hollywood Hills mansion David Burke had been renting. This was no ordinary house call. It was a 12-hour operation that transformed the quiet hillside street into a crime scene straight out of a movie. Neighbors say the convoy rolled in just after sunset. Black SUVs, unmarked vans, and evidence trucks lined the block. Floodlights lit up the mansion's driveway as officers in gloves and protective gear streamed inside. To anyone watching, it was clear investigators weren't there to ask questions. They were there to uncover something big. Inside, the search was meticulous. Forensic experts from the LAPD's Scientific Investigation Division sprayed luminol across the property. The chemical glows blue when it touches even the faintest trace of blood. Investigators swept drains, walls, and hidden corners, looking for answers to the biggest question of all. Had something happened to Celeste inside that house before her body was discovered in David's Tesla just 9 days earlier? The intensity of the search said everything. This wasn't about speculation anymore. This was about finding physical proof. And as the hours passed, it became clear the mansion was holding secrets investigators were determined to expose. By the time dawn approached, detectives had carried out box after box of evidence, and the list of what they seized was staggering. At least one computer, multiple cell phones, hard drives, and even networking devices like routers were packed up and logged. Each one could hold crucial digital breadcrumbs, security footage, text messages, location history, or private conversations that might tie Celeste directly to the mansion. But the digital trail wasn't all they were after. Several evidence bags contained clothing and personal items. Reports suggest some of the garments matched what Celeste was last seen wearing before she disappeared in April 2024. A tube top, black leggings, jewelry. Forensic experts immediately flagged these pieces for DNA testing, knowing they could hold answers no one had yet spoken aloud. Investigators also removed stacks of paperwork, leases, receipts, handwritten notes. On the surface, they looked ordinary, but together they painted a picture of who had been inside that house when they were there, and what connections tied David to Celeste during her final months. Each item leaving the property was more than just evidence. It was another piece of a puzzle investigators had been struggling to solve for over a year. And while the public only saw bags being loaded into police trucks, behind the scenes, forensic labs were preparing to dissect every bite, every fiber, and every trace of DNA. For investigators, this wasn't about collecting junk. It was about building a timeline, brick by brick, that could reveal what really happened inside that mansion. For hours, the search of the mansion looked like a typical forensic sweep. Luminol glowing faint blue across drains and tile, officers collecting swabs, specialists combing through closets and basements. But everything changed when one team followed an unusual draft of air near the lower level of the house. At first, it looked like an ordinary storage room, but as they pushed aside stacked boxes, they uncovered something no one expected: a concealed door built flush into the wall. Behind it, a narrow passage stretched downward, carved into the foundation itself. Agents described it as a tunnel, dark, cramped, and unlike anything you'd expect to find in a luxury Hollywood Hills mansion. The tunnel was reinforced with makeshift beams and lined with dust-coated cables, as if someone had been running power through it. And at the far end, investigators reported finding evidence bags filled with personal effects, some belonging to Celeste, others still unaccounted for. The sight was so unsettling that, according to sources at the scene, several agents walked out pale, shaken by what they had just uncovered. To the public, the tunnel quickly became more than a detail. It was a symbol. Why did it exist? Who built it? And what exactly had been happening inside? The discovery didn't just expand the scope of the investigation, it deepened the mystery, suggesting that what went on in that house was far more elaborate and far darker than anyone had first imagined. As if the tunnel wasn't shocking enough, the evidence recovered inside the mansion raised even more disturbing questions. Among the items seized were several documents, fake IDs that appeared to belong to Celeste. These weren't just poorly made fakes. According to reports, they were convincing enough to list her as a 19-year-old college student at USC, complete with matching details that could pass casual inspection. Investigators believe these IDs may explain how someone so young was able to move freely in spaces typically reserved for adults, clubs, parties, and private events around Hollywood. To the FBI, it showed just how carefully this entire situation had been constructed, giving her the appearance of being older and making it easier for her to blend into David's world without immediate suspicion. But the discovery of the IDs also sparked a heated debate online. Did David and his circle genuinely believe she was older, as some sources close to him claim? Or was this part of a larger effort to hide the truth? Either way, the revelation added another layer to an already complex case, highlighting just how blurred the line between perception and reality had become. For the public, the fake IDs weren't just props. They were symbols of deception, a chilling reminder of how appearances can be manipulated and how quickly trust can be built on a foundation of lies. Just when investigators thought the story couldn't get any stranger, a new voice stepped forward, someone who knew Celeste before her disappearance. A teacher from Lakeland Village Middle School in Southern California, where Celeste once studied, spoke publicly about his memories of her, and what he revealed left both parents and detectives shaken. According to the teacher, Celeste had told classmates in early 2024 that she was in contact with a musician named David, the same David later linked to the Tesla and the mansion search. He recalled a specific incident in January 2024 when police located Celeste in the Hollywood Hills after she had gone missing for nearly a month. She was brought back home and returned briefly to school, where she reportedly spoke about her experiences openly as if she didn't fully understand the danger she had been in. The teacher's testimony added weight to a timeline investigators were already piecing together. It suggested that Celeste's connection to David wasn't secret, at least not to her peers. In her own words, she described meeting him online, running away to be with him, and later being found by police in the very area where his rented mansion stood. For the FBI, this wasn't just background noise. It became critical context linking Celeste to David months before her tragic discovery in September 2025. For the public, the teacher's revelation hit hard. It showed how a young girl, vulnerable and impressionable, could see her situation as something exciting or glamorous, while the adults around her understood the risks far differently. It also raised troubling questions. If her story was known to classmates, why didn't more alarms go off sooner? Why wasn't stronger action taken to protect her before it was too late? This testimony became one of the most discussed pieces of the puzzle, not only shaping the investigation, but also fueling online debates about responsibility, accountability, and how easily warning signs can be overlooked. By now, investigators had a chilling pattern on their hands, one that stretched back more than a year. Celeste hadn't just vanished once. According to police reports, she was reported missing at least 3 separate times in 2024 alone. The first was on February 14th, 2024, Valentine's Day, when she was just 13 years old. Each time she eventually resurfaced, only to disappear again months later. And every time her name appeared back on police lists as a missing teen, her family holding vigils and pleading for her safe return. In January 2024, police had already found her in the Hollywood Hills, just minutes away from the house David Burke was renting at the time. That location would later become the very same mansion federal agents raided in September 2025 after Celeste's body was discovered. The overlap in timelines and locations painted a disturbing picture, one that investigators could no longer dismiss as coincidence. The most devastating moment came on September 8, 2025, just one day after what would have been Celeste's 15th birthday. That afternoon, LAPD officers responded to reports of a foul odor coming from an abandoned black Tesla parked at a Hollywood tow yard. The vehicle, which had been left on a public street days earlier, was traced back to David Burke. Inside, authorities made the discovery that ended all hope. Human remains inside a plastic bag, later identified through dental records and tattoos as Celeste Rivas Hernandez. From that point forward, the investigation shifted into overdrive. What had once been treated as a runaway case was now a full-scale death investigation, with David's car, mansion, and inner circle all under the microscope. Each missing persons report from 2024 became a piece of a much larger puzzle, one that suggested Celeste's connection to David stretched back far longer than anyone initially realized. For the family, it was the nightmare they had feared for over a year, finally confirmed in the most devastating way possible. For investigators, it meant they were no longer just piecing together a disappearance, but retracing a timeline of red flags that now felt impossible to ignore. Just 9 days after Celeste's body was found, on September 17th, 2025, detectives executed a 12-hour raid on the Hollywood Hills mansion David Burke had been renting for $20,000 a month. This wasn't a simple search. The LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division rolled up with their Scientific Investigation Unit, carrying luminol spray, a chemical that glows blue when it detects even microscopic traces of blood. Floors, drains, walls, furniture, every surface in that $4.1 million home was tested. Agents were seen walking out with multiple evidence bags. Among them, computers, phones, and hard drives believed to contain messages, security footage, and location data. They also seized clothing, jewelry, and documents that could tie directly back to Celeste, including items resembling what she was last seen wearing when she disappeared in April 2024. But what truly left investigators shaken wasn't on the surface at all. Hidden beneath the mansion was something they hadn't anticipated: a secret tunnel. According to reports, the entryway was disguised behind a storage panel in the basement. Detectives described the passage as narrow, unfinished, and stretching deep below the property. What exactly it was used for has not been made public, but sources close to the investigation suggest it could hold the key to understanding what really happened in those final days. For agents hardened by years of crime scene work, emerging from that mansion visibly pale told its own story. They hadn't just uncovered blood traces and digital evidence. They had stumbled onto a hidden space, one that could completely reshape the timeline of Celeste's final movements and David's role in it. From that moment forward, the mansion itself became more than a luxury rental. It became a potential crime scene, a place where investigators believe crucial events may have unfolded before Celeste's body was placed in the Tesla outside. The moment news of the mansion raid broke, the internet lit up like wildfire. Hashtags like hashtag justice for Celeste and hashtag David exposed skyrocketed across TikTok and X, pulling in millions of views within hours. Reddit threads turned into digital case files, with fans and critics piecing together timelines, leaked screenshots, and even analyzing D4vd's lyrics as if they were confessions hidden in plain sight. But the discovery of the hidden tunnel pushed things into overdrive. Overnight, theories flooded social platforms. Some users speculated it was used as a private escape route. Others suggested it might have been a storage area for evidence. Conspiracy theories multiplied, from claims of secret gatherings to whispers of a larger Hollywood cover-up. The tunnel quickly became a symbol of the case, proof to many that this story was bigger and darker than anyone had imagined. On YouTube, reaction videos racked up millions of views as creators dissected the raid footage frame by frame. TikTok sleuths posted side-by-side comparisons of D4vd's music videos and the crime scene details, pointing out eerie parallels, from caskets on stage to lyrics that seemed to mirror the investigation. Even those who had never heard of D4vd before were now invested, following every leak, every update, and every rumor. Meanwhile, the divide between fans and critics grew wider. Some defended D4vd, pointing to the lack of an official arrest as proof of innocence. Others argued the sheer weight of circumstantial evidence, from the Tesla to the tunnel, made denial impossible. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds, with heated debates, threats, and viral stitches fueling the fire. In just days, the case had morphed from a Hollywood scandal into a cultural event, one where the lines between true crime, celebrity gossip, and internet conspiracy blurred beyond recognition. And for investigators, the pressure was higher than ever. Every move they made was being watched, debated, and magnified by millions online. Before this scandal, D4D's career looked unstoppable. Signed to Interscope, he had racked up over 10 million monthly Spotify listeners, performed at Coachella in April 2025, and was pulling in sponsorship deals with brands like Crocs and Hollister. His music, especially the breakout hit Romantic Homicide, turned him into one of Gen Z's rising stars. But by September 2025, all of that came crashing down. The first blow came just 48 hours after Celeste's body was identified. Live Nation quietly pulled the plug on multiple U.S. tour dates, citing safety concerns. By mid-September, the entire Withered World Tour had been canceled, costing millions in ticket sales and merchandise. Then came the brand exodus. Crocs issued a statement on September 12th announcing they were pulling all marketing materials tied to D4vd. Hollister followed the very next day, removing his clothing collaboration from shelves overnight. Even rumored partnerships with Nike and Spotify were abruptly shelved. The damage wasn't just financial. D4vd's once loyal fan base began fracturing. His Instagram follower count dropped from 4.2 million to under 3.8 million in a matter of days, with hashtags like hashtag boycott David trending worldwide. Music forums locked threads discussing him to control the chaos, while true crime communities dissected every lyric he'd ever written, pointing to songs like Romantic Homicide and the leaked track Celeste as possible red flags. By late September, industry insiders were already comparing his fall to that of R. Kelly, a complete collapse from the top of the charts to cultural exile. Festival organizers scrubbed his name from lineups, record promotion halted, and insiders whispered that his career may never recover. From sold-out arenas and luxury brand deals to hiding behind lawyers and watching his empire crumble, D4vd's trajectory had gone from meteoric rise to free fall in less than 2 weeks. The once celebrated prodigy was now a cautionary tale, proof of how quickly fame can vanish when dark secrets come to light. The FBI's raid on D4vd's mansion didn't just reveal hidden passageways and shocking evidence, it unraveled the entire image of a rising star. What once looked like a success story born from recording in his sister's closet has now become one of the darkest scandals the music industry has ever seen. Each revelation, the Tesla discovery, the mansion search, the hidden tunnel, and the collapsing career, has pushed this case deeper into uncharted territory. The biggest question now is simple: what happens next? With investigators still analyzing seized electronics, testing DNA evidence, and digging into the mansion's secrets, the story is far from over. D4vd may still be cooperating through his legal team, but the weight of public opinion has already delivered its verdict. His career, his image, and his reputation may never recover. And while fans, critics, and investigators all continue to debate the truth, one thing is clear: the answers hidden in that mansion could determine not only D4vd's future, but also how this tragedy is remembered for years to come. This is only the beginning, and the next chapter might be even darker. So stay tuned, because we'll be here breaking down every update as it unfolds. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the latest developments.